I'm Tanner Knaut. A second straight loss has put the ACU Wildcats' playoff hopes in serious jeopardy.
I'm Grant Boone. It doesn't get any easier this afternoon against a nationally ranked opponent, the Kingsville Javelinas. With the season on the brink, we're going whole hog on this edition of the Chris Thompson Show next. Welcome to the Chris Thompson Show on this Halloween Saturday from the JMC Network studios on the ACU campus. Grant Boone, Tanner Knaut sitting in for Kimberly Prather today, and ACU head coach Chris Thompson. Coach, another difficult loss last Saturday night in Stephenville, Texas. Your team loses 13-6 to Tarleton State. First time, and we've had a lot of firsts this year, and most of them have been good. First time since you took over that your team has not scored a touchdown. I know it's frustrating. How surprised are you at how you guys have struggled offensively the last couple of weeks?
I'm pretty surprised at the last couple of weeks, and really mostly because the Angelo State game, I thought we really had turned the corner. I think there's a couple of different factors. We faced really good defenses, and I always give credit to the other team first. But I think we've dealt with some distractions and some things that have set us back a little bit, and and have disrupted our continuity a little bit on offense. And I think we've over the course of the last week, I think we've made some personnel moves and gotten some things straight that I think can really help us in this game tonight or today, and we're looking forward to getting out there and fixing it.
Now, Coach, right now you're 7th in the region, and the top 6 teams make the playoffs. How much conversation do you have with your players about the different playoff scenarios?
I don't really talk to them about it at all. I think most of those guys read and watch some of that stuff. I'll address it just a little bit on Sunday after the game, just to let them know where we stand. But the bottom line is, if the focus is on that, it's not on what you got to do, which is preparation. And I think that's some of the time I think guys get distracted by some of those things, and that may have happened to us a little bit in the last couple of weeks. And we got to be focused on Kingsville and taking care of business, because if we don't do that, none of that will matter. So. We don't talk a whole lot about that.
We'll preview that Kingsville game a little bit later on in the show, and we'll have my video journal from the Bears-Bengals game in Cincinnati with Johnny Knox, Daniel Manning, and Bernard Scott all on that same NFL field. But when we come back, we'll have highlights from ACU's 13-6 loss to Tarleton State. You're watching The Chris Thompson Show. Back on The Chris Thompson Show, as we prepare to look at highlights of your team's game against Tarleton State. They're a bit banged up, but we knew this was one of the best offensive teams that your team would play all year.
Yeah, statistically, they came in with a real good rushing attack and throwing the ball equally as well, and our defense just did a fantastic job.
Let's take a look at the highlights from Stephenville, Texas on homecoming at Memorial Stadium. Evan Robertson and Roderick Smith, two of the best rushers in the conference, but you'll see here Robertson get caught for a loss of 4 yards. Coach, they ran it 17 times, and your team allowed just 3 total yards on those 17 rushes to the running backs.
Yeah, it was a pretty incredible job in run defense, and you saw Fred and Ashton both there, and I think our defensive staff had a tremendous plan for their run game, and our kids did a great job executing.
Second offensive possession for your team, 3rd down and 20, and you find Kendrick Johnson on a little drag route across the middle.
Yeah, Kendrick provided a big spark for us, and found a lot of different ways this week our offensive coaches did to get him the ball, and he responded well. He had a little ankle injury, second quarter, third quarter, or he probably would have had a much bigger day.
Yeah, 26 yards on that first catch and then 17 on the second. And then your team marches down inside the 10-yard line, Coach, and then this big play by Marcus Phillips of Tarleton State off a tipped ball, Mitchell Gale's first pick of the game, and this was a huge play.
Yeah, Marcus has really been a great, productive player for Tarleton for the last couple of years, and you see the ball skills right there. Just got a little pressure there, and Mitchell just stepped up and threw it a little bit behind Terrell, and big play for Tarleton, stopped the scoring drive.
All right, then Tarleton State, after forcing a punt by ACU, puts Devin Gwynn back, and your transfer punter Mark Sprague floats it high, and then Gwynn, who's a terrific return man, as we'll see later in the game, fumbles it, and Derek Odelusi, man on the spot, we've talked about him all year, recovers the fumble.
Yeah, Derek's done such a great job on special teams, and this was a huge play. This was really the first big break in the game for either team, and Derek hustling down there made a great play.
All right, so Coach, your team takes over 1st and goal inside the 10. You give it to Darryl 3 straight times, and he's unable to get into the end zone. The last one, a loss of 1.
Yeah, you know, Tarleton did a super job down there in the tight red zone, and they've got a couple of big D tackles in there, and we didn't execute as clean down there as we should have, and that resulted in a field goal. You got to get touchdowns.
20-yard field goal from Morgan Lineberry, 3-0 ACU at that point. You get the ball back, and then Mitchell Gale here finds your, I guess we're calling him freshman tight end. He's got senior hours practically. Ben Gibbs, a great catch inside the 5 there.
Yeah, this is a route that we scored against Northwest Missouri on, same type route. Ben just worked his way up and ran a great route and a good throw by Mitchell.
So now you've got it 3rd down and goal, and you try the fade route in the corner, and Edmond catches it, but you can see his foot out of bounds there.
Yeah, the ball, you know, Mitchell just threw it just a little bit out of bounds. A great job by Edmond of going up and getting the football.
All right, it sets up Morgan Lineberry's 2nd field goal. That was right before halftime, and I know that there's got to be some question. Do you maybe try to punch it in there 4th and goal, but you knew you were going to get the ball to start the second half, right?
Yeah, I knew that, and I just knew the way our defense was playing. I felt like, you know, that's a game where you might, if you accumulate 4 or 5 field goals, you win the game, which happened 4 years ago when we went down there. Morgan did a great job. He was kicking the ball well, so we stuck with that.
All right, Coach, a couple of times in this game, you went over the top trying to hit Gates deep, and on this play we see Mitchell just past the outstretched fingertips of Edmond Gates, nearly hit him on a bomb.
Yeah, we got good protection on the play, and you know, they were heavy to stop our run, and the safeties were caught looking in the backfield, and Edmond ran right by him. We just didn't complete, and that was really the difference in the game. They completed a deep ball, and we missed a couple of ours, and that was the difference.
And we'll see that deep ball of theirs in a moment. On that same drive, though, we're going to see Mitchell Gale, after running for 11 yards, gets sacked, one of his 7 sacks, and then he turns the ball over. He gets strip sacked, and Tarleton takes over on their own 39.
Yeah, that was a huge play, because just like the interception earlier, we're down there close to their end. We've got an opportunity to score, and a really good play by their guy, and we fumble the ball.
All right, so you hold them out of the end zone for 3 quarters. On the 2nd play of the 4th quarter, Mark Sprague punts, and Devin Gwynn, he fumbled earlier. In fact, fumbled twice, recovered one of them, but then he does this just less than a minute into the 4th quarter.
Yeah, Devin's a great punt returner. We had kind of planned on not really kicking to him a whole lot, and then he fumbled the first couple of punts, so kind of started going back to kicking and kicking to him, and he made us pay for it. A great play on his part.
It was a 57-yard punt return for a touchdown. There's an unsportsmanlike conduct on the Tarleton holder, and you have a decision to make there. Do you take it on the kickoff, or do you take it into the wind for their extra point? And you chose to make them kick it from essentially, 35 yards, and Fred Thomsen gets his paw in there and blocks Garrett Lindholm.
Yeah, and that was strictly a decision based on the wind. Had it not have been a real windy night, we probably would, because Garrett's a great kicker, and 35 yards is nothing for him, but we kind of watched him in pregame, and that wind was pushing the ball around, so let's, you know, try to make him kick a long field goal. Fred fortunately got through there and broke it up. Tie game.
6-6. Your team with great field position, unable to take advantage, and then they make you pay on 2nd and 5 with less than 5 minutes to go. They go deep to big Jameel Hobson.
Yeah, I thought you know, DeMaurier did a good job as far as just being where he was supposed to be, but he just didn't make that play. Hobson made a nice play on it, and that's going to happen sometimes in man coverage. You got to bounce back.
Yeah, this team really didn't do a whole lot offensively. Your team shut them down. But for this one play, made it 13-6. Your team gets the ball back, one last chance, 4th and 9 from midfield, and you complete the pass to Kendrick Johnson for 15 yards, and you keep that drive going.
Yeah, Kendrick made a great play. Went up and played, instead of 5'7", played about 6'5" on that play, and made a great catch, and he kept us going all night. We just unfortunately couldn't finish it.
Yeah, sack on the next play on 1st down makes it 2nd and long. You couldn't convert. You turn it over. All right, Coach, as we put the wraps on this one, 13-6, the final. Here's one of these dumb radio guy media questions. Does it feel different to lose a game like this one than it would, say, 28-6, where you just kind of get your hats handed to you?
Yeah, it feels different. I mean,
maybe not so dumb of a question.
It feels different. I mean, because if you lose 28-6, you probably got totally dominated in the game. I didn't feel like we got totally dominated. I just feel like we didn't make enough plays to win. So you still take some positives out of that, and you still feel like if you can get some things cleaned up the next week, you can win. And so that's how we feel. I think our guys will bounce back and play well today.
Okay, 13-6 the final, ACU's second consecutive loss. When we come back, no Saturday football. We'll take a look at some former Wildcats playing on Sunday. You're watching The Chris Thompson Show. Welcome back to The Chris Thompson Show. All season long in our XFactor feature, we've been keeping you up to date on the progress of the three former Wildcats in the National Football League. Daniel Manning and Johnny Knox of the Chicago Bears and Bernard Scott of the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, those three guys made it easy on us this week. All three were on the same field as the Bears visited the Bengals in Cincinnati, and I had the great pleasure of being part of the ACU contingent there at the game. Take a look at my video journal from the Bears-Bengals game in Cincinnati.
Paul Brown Stadium. A couple of years they'll rename this Bernard Scott Stadium.
Well, let's see if we can park some.
After he rushes for about 75 touchdowns next year. What do you know about Johnny Knox and Danielle Manning?
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Where'd they go to college? Here's a hint. Abilene Christian, that's right. We're here representing the 325. Sir, I have a very important question. Where are the Bernard Scott jerseys? Everyone in Abilene, Texas wants to know.
Inside the pro shop.
Inside you have them in the pro shop. All right, we're going to go investigate. You better buy one now while they're still available. Bernard Scott, number 28. Once he gets in the game, the jerseys will be flying off the shelves. Hey, you saved a touchdown against Cribbs. Yeah. That was you. I saw that. He was going all the way.
Hey, how's it tackling, guys? Yeah, that's the whole. I can't hey, when you told me, when I called you back before the season started, you told me that. I told Chris. He went, oh, yeah.
Now he knows how everybody else feels.
Right. I look like Jay Knox down there. I think that is him. Yeah.
Dr. Money's here. Jared's here. Yeah. Got the whole ACU bunch. Bro, they're sitting right 8 rows deep, right there. 148 is where they'll be.
Okay.
So you can. Hey, if you score right here, Bernard, would you just throw them the ball up there? See if I can hang with him. There's Jay Cutler. Here goes Johnny. So, hoot.
At the 21-yard line of Chicago.
Bernard for 11 yards on his first carry. There's no cheering in the press box, so I'm doing it silently.
Cedric Benson. That's what White's did. Kick the field goal instead. Brought down by Marcus Harrison.
Well, you can turn out the lights. This ACU party is over from Paul Brown Stadium. The final stats for the ACU players involved, Daniel Manning, Johnny Knox, and Bernard Scott, not nearly as memorable as the experience they had playing together and the experience that we had covering this game. Before they said goodbye to one another, they had one final word to the man who coached all three of them.
Wildcats. What's up, Coach T, man? Proud of you guys. Keep up the good work. Can't wait to get back and see you.
What's going on, Coach T? Just appreciate it for what all you've done for us. You know, can't wait to come back and see you.
From Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati for the Chris Thompson Show, I'm Grant Boone. Well, Coach, it was interesting as I was down on the field before and after the game, joking with those guys. You know, this isn't much different than Ada, Oklahoma, or San Angelo, Texas is. It is such an enormous arena for three guys who you don't just know well, but you had a chance to coach and love.
Yeah, that arena would seem to be intimidating, but those three guys, you know, really the reason they're the athletes that they are, they realize the game it really is no different than in Ada, Oklahoma. Once the ball's kicked, you just got to go play, and all those guys have a great makeup and have a gift for playing the game, and so they respond to those situations very well.
And both past and present players agree that ACU football is about more than what happens on the field. Kimberly Prather takes a look at the spiritual side of being a Wildcat.
Since 2005, when Chris Thompson became the head coach of ACU football, we have seen Abilene Christian have a lot of success on the football field. What we have not seen is what happens when the lights go out. The coaches of ACU are striving to do something different with this football program, and that is to prepare their players for life off the football field.
The heart of Coach Thompson and me and the rest of our coaches is to teach young men about manhood, real manhood, which that is a basic umbrella for a lot of life lessons that we talk about. Ultimately, we thought, you know what, for us to get a better situation, we need to get these guys away from football in a different team meeting. And so we just thought, you know what, Friday nights, let's use that time as a time to talk about different aspects of manhood.
He put what he knew was right into his brain. His brain took it out through the nerve endings into his muscles, and his muscles did what he knew was right. Now let me tell you guys something tonight. You know a lot that's right. If you follow through and do just what you know is right, you're going to be God's man. You're going to be God's man.
Our Friday night devotionals are about more life situations, not necessarily football. You can compare a lot to football, what we do on Friday nights, but I think the main goal of that is to just, it's for man stuff. Spiritually, I mean, you know, just being a better man. It's not necessarily directed towards the game as so much it is everyday life, I think.
But coming here, I pretty much, I feel like I grew into a man, you know, on and off the field.
We want our players to come away from this program understand with a better foundation and understanding of what it is to be a real man. What do I have to do to be a man in this world and in this society? And when you put all that together, that is who we are as ACU football.
Thanks, Kimberly. Now, Coach, how important is the Friday night devotional to your program?
Well, I think it's an important part of overall what we do to try to develop or encourage the spiritual side of our guys. I mean, there's three parts to these guys, and there's the physical part, you know, and then the academic part, and then the spiritual part. And we spend a ton of time on the physical, and they spend a ton of time on their academics. And I just feel like if you neglect that spiritual side, then you're really neglecting the most important of the three. And so it's a part of their experience. I mean, they get that from other places, but we want to, you know, Friday nights is just a time to just kind of decompress from a long, hard week, go eat a good meal as a team together, and then come really try to feed their spirit and their soul and just encourage them as men. And I think it's been a big part of what we've done here over the past. It's not the only thing that we do, but it is a big part of that spiritual development that we try to do with our guys.
I keep telling people some of the best stuff that's happening at ACU is happening off the field, and Friday night, what you do there on Friday nights is a big part of that. Well, let's take a look now at what's happening around the rest of the Wildcat sports landscape. Here's from the JMC Newsroom, Scott Stewart.
Thanks, Grant. We go first to the men's cross country team, which won its 19th straight Lone Star Conference Championship last Saturday. ACU scored 33 points as runner Amos Sang won the individual championship with a time of 24 minutes and 44 seconds. Up next for the team, the NCAA Division II South Central Regional in Abilene on November 7th. ACU Volleyball has won their last 11 games, including 2 wins this past week, as ACU defeated Cameron last Saturday 3-2, and Texas Permian Basement on Tuesday 3-1. In conference, the team sits in second place with a record of 8-1, trailing West Texas A&M with a record of 10-0. ACU concludes its regular season at home next week, hosting Texas A&M Kingsville and Tarleton State. ACU's soccer team dropped to second place in the LSC standings after a pair of road games where the teams were shut out by Eastern New Mexico 1-0 and tied West Texas A&M in a scoreless game on Sunday. The Wildcats finished their season against Midwestern State, leading up to the LSC tournament, which begins on November 5th. After the volleyball game Thursday in Moody Coliseum, fans can stick around for Meet the Wildcats, when they can get autographs and take pictures with the volleyball team and men's and women's basketball team. Stay tuned for more on The Chris Thompson Show after this.
Back on The Chris Thompson Show, let's take a look at the Lone Star Conference South Division standings. And, Coach, there you see last week's winner, Tarleton State, tied for first with today's opponent, Kingsville.
Yeah, the Lone Star Conference, we said it all year, it would be hard for a team to go through undefeated, and that's proven to be true. And Tarleton and Kingsville, both great teams. Kingsville right there. If we win the game today, we're obviously right back in the mix.
Yeah, and again, you're going to need some help from either Angelo State tonight or West Texas A&M in the final game of the season in terms of Tarleton State needing to lose one of those games. Let's look at the Super 4 region rankings, and ACU now number 7 in the rankings, as we talked about earlier in the show. Top 6 at season's end. So a week from tomorrow, you'll have the final regional rankings out. Top 6 get in. You're currently number 7th, and you've got your next 2 opponents right ahead of you.
Well, the thing that we have working in our favor is strength of schedule, and the Northwest Missouri win was huge. The next 2 opponents are, regionally ranked teams, so you control your own destiny. You beat those guys, you're in.
All right, let's take a look at Texas A&M Kingsville's Javelinas by the number. Bo Atterbury really came in some adverse conditions when he was hired a couple of summers ago. Didn't even have a chance to recruit, and he's really done a great job.
Yeah, they've done a great job. Bo was at Southeast Oklahoma in years past, was a defensive coordinator, and has done a tremendous job with their program, and we kind of knew he would get it back on track. And Billy Garza, much like Billy Malone, has been a key to that. What a great player, but they've done a great job.
Well, let's talk about Kingsville specifically today and what they pose in terms of a challenge from your defensive side of the ball. They have a terrific offense. You mentioned Garza, the 6th-year senior, and they've got a transfer running back. They call him Hollywood. He's from North Hollywood, California. Fred Winborn leads the Lone Star Conference in rushing on an individual basis, and as a team, they lead the conference in rushing. They'll be going up against your team, which is now number 1 in all of Division II in rushing defense. How do you see that matchup?
I mean, that's a great clash, and I know both teams, Kingsville with their offensive line and their backs will be revved up for that one, and our defense will be, it's basically a deal coming into our house, and there's some personal things there as far as running the football, and you got to stop the run, you got to be able to run it, and obviously Kingsville's doing a great job with it. So we got our work cut out for us, but I know our guys will step up and meet the challenge.
And Coach, last week your offense struggled a bit. What do they need to do today to get back on track?
The main thing is protect the quarterback. If you go back to the Angelo game, and Mitchell really had a good performance, and the key to that was he had time to throw. In the last couple of weeks, we just hadn't given him enough time to get settled in up front. And again, I credit the last 2 teams for that. Great defensive fronts for WT and Tarleton, but our guys have to step up front, and we still got to be able to run the ball. We've done that somewhat effectively over the last couple of weeks. So being able to run the ball has helped us, but we got to put the drop back pass game into effect and really protect the passer and throw and catch.
All right, as we wrap up here, Coach, I know that this is not your favorite question. What's the mood of the team? These guys are college kids. They've got a lot of things in their lives going on besides football, but this is obviously a really tough stretch, and maybe a team that's not quite as strong mentally would struggle over the last couple of weeks, seeing a number 1 in the nation ranking and then a couple of consecutive losses. How would you gauge the spirit of your team?
I think it's different than it's been all year, honestly. It's, anytime you face adversity, anytime you get humiliated like we did, because offensively we got humiliated, our defense played great, but it's a team deal. It doesn't matter that our defense played great. We lost the game. Offensively, we got humiliated. I think our guys have reached deep this past week. I've seen them have their best week of preparation as a team, and I think they've responded very well. Adversity like that either breaks you or it makes you, and this is a new group of offensive players for the most part, and they've been inconsistent all year, so there's been struggles there. They've done well at times, they've done poorly at times, and they know now it's time. They know now that, and they know, I think they're learning what you have to do to prepare for a game, and like I said, this week was the best week. I think as bad as it hurts to lose a game, I think getting humiliated not scoring a touchdown for the first time since we've been here, I think has been a really good thing, and I expect those guys to bounce back and have their best game of the year. How that'll translate, I don't know. I expect to be able to go out there and win the game, but the bottom line is to go play well, and I think they'll do that.
Just a final thought, Coach. We don't know what's going to happen in terms of the playoffs. That'll be decided in the next couple of weeks. There's a chance this could be the final game at Shotwell Stadium for some of your guys, and a couple of them come to mind, certainly a guy like Tony Hart.
Yeah, Tony Hart, I can't say enough about that guy. I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of what he's been able to accomplish, and I could go down the list with a bunch of those other seniors, but a lot of these guys were in our first group of walk-on guys like Arthur Johnson, a special guy that's really worked hard. Reggie Mathis is a guy we brought in late in the summer that first year, and he's a fifth-year senior, and I could just go down the list on those guys, but really proud of those guys. Obviously, we hope it's not their last home game. Hope it's not their, definitely not their last home game, but those guys are special and have done a great job for our program.
All right, Coach, kickoff 2 o'clock today at Shotwell Stadium. We'll have the pregame show on radio here in the Big Country on Classic Country 1470. For Tanner Knaut and for ACU head coach Chris Thompson, I'm Grant Boone reminding you can get extended coverage of ACU sports at acusports.com and at acuoptimist.com, where you can also see replays of the Chris Thompson Show. We'll see you next week.